Fun fact, I've spent the past 25 years trying to make the most perfect pizza at home. It's hard. Commercial ovens are hotter. They're better. You have access to different kind of doughs and all kinds of things. And trying to come up with the perfect homemade pizza, home-cooked pizza, is more challenging than it looks. If you've ever tried, you know what I mean. There's plenty of people that have great recipes for this, but I stumbled upon something I have to share with the world. And you're going to see it right now, but you got to stick around because we're about to get started. So what's the hardest thing about making pizza at home? The dough. First of all, your oven only goes to 550. Dough has to be cooked at 650 to 850. Isn't that weird? Yeah. So that's a challenge. You have to have a pizza stone or a pizza steel. Must have that. If you don't, stop the video, go wherever you can get one of those things and buy one, because that's the only way you're going to achieve pizziosity. The next thing you need to have a scale. This scale measures in grams. That is incredibly important because this pizza is a math game. It has to be done exactly perfectly or it's not perfect. Kind of weird how that works. What are the secrets to this? Well, you have to have the right water to flour ratio. Flour is 100%. Everything else off of that is a percentage of the flour. So this is my 3-2-1 dough. Modified. If you've already seen that video, hang on, I found something here. So that is 300 grams of flour, that is 200 grams of water, and it is 1 teaspoon of both salt, yeast, and sugar. So that's the ones. Technically it's 3 ones, but the 3-2-1-1-1, it sounded like I had a stutter or speech impediment or something. So I just went with 3-2-1. That explains the pizza dough recipe. That is basically it. You can add oil to this if you want to. You don't have to. There's some weird stuff. You don't have to have sugar and you don't have to have oil. They do add a little bit to it. I am going to be putting oil in this, but it is not part of the base recipe. This is more of a New York-ish style. It has the nice ring around it. Hopefully there's a picture here, the finished product, because as you can see, I haven't made it yet, so through the magic of time travel, here's the picture of the finished pizza. Now, if you want to know how to make that pizza right there, you got to watch this because I'm about to blow your mind. I'm not sure anybody knows this, but I stumbled across something because I just like to experiment with things every once in a while. I thought, well, see, double O pizza flour has to be cooked at least 650 degrees, 850 degrees. Anything less than that, it doesn't fully cook. It doesn't do what it's supposed to. It doesn't toast up and it doesn't get nice. What it does give you is amazing structure, chew, and flavor. So you really want to use this if you can, but it's impossible at 550 degrees. It just won't turn out. So what do we end up with? We end up with bread flour. Bread flour is very similar, but it's slightly different. They're both very high protein flours. In that 12 to 14% range is where you want to be with that. But bread flour just doesn't have the beautiful structure and chew and flavor. It's okay, but it's meant to make bread, not pizza dough. This is made to make pizza dough. So what do? Now, I've done some searching. If somebody finds this, let me know in the comments. But I haven't seen anybody do this trick. Here it is. Ready for this? The secret that's going to change the world. Mix them. So I played with a couple different things and found the right ratio. So we have 300 grams total of flour. I use 100 grams of the double O pizza flour and 200 grams of bread flour. I get that beautiful hybrid. It has that nice toasting on it, the nice brown crust ring on it. It cooks up beautifully. It has the right texture on it and all that stuff, but the chew and the flavor is incredible. That is how you achieve great pizza at home. I'm going to show you how to make this dough real quick. It's pretty simple, and once you learn how to do this and a couple little techniques and things, you're going to be making great pizza, and you're going to stop ordering that horrible takeout you get from the guy with the thing on the roof of his car. I know we get lazy, but this is great pizza. So let's make it, and let's get started with that. The 100 grams of double O flours in the bowl, we're adding our 200 grams of bread flour and 1 teaspoon of instant yeast. So for the water, I'm using filtered tap water. This is came from my reverse osmosis filter. I've microwaved this so that it is at about 105-ish degrees, something like that. Took about 30 seconds in here with my microwave. Your mileage may vary with yours, but this is going to go in here in a second, but we're going to add one more ingredient real fast. So I have the yeast in there already, and the next thing I'm going to put in is the sugar. Now the reason I'm using sugar is because it has a nice flavor and everything in there. If you don't want to, don't. A lot of New York pizza does not have sugar in it. Some does. That's why you get such variety from different places. But that's just personal preference. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. All right, so we're just going to mix up the dry ingredients real fast right here. This is kind of important to get it kind of mixed up and ready to go. So we're just going to give this a little bit for a second. Okay, that is plenty. Now we're going to slowly put our water in here. You notice I haven't put the salt or the oil in yet. That is because salt and oil are the enemy of structure and the dough, the gluten. The protein that they list in this, because it's, you know, the 12 to 14% protein, it's gluten. Gluten is very important. If you have gluten-free pizza, it's not the same. It's not the same. You can't get that wonderful structure without gluten. It is impossible. You have to use different things, and you get a completely different kind of dough, which is fine if you prefer that, or if you have celiac disease and you require that. Then I'm sorry, you're never going to know how great this is. I apologize. That is going to take a second. It's going to come together in a shaggy dough. Then we're going to let that sit for 20 minutes in sort of an autolyse sort of thing. Not really, but it is sort of that. It does help build structure. Then we add our salt and our oil, because salt stops the yeast from activating. We've just put sugar, flour, and water, warm water in here. That yeast is getting all happy. And we don't want to stop that. This is the fun police for yeast. It doesn't kill it, it just makes it sit and be quiet. So don't put that in too early, or you're not going to get the right pizza. It's another one of the secrets. But as you can see, we've got our dough has come together a little bit. This is going to just hydrate the flour and make this so much easier. All the moisture is getting out there and doing its thing, and jazz hands. I don't know. Real quick. Yep. Okay, she's ready. Okay, I'm going to take a damp towel. I'm going to wrap this around the bowl, let this sit for 20 minutes, and meet you back here in 2 seconds. And to be clear, when I said damp towel, I mean take a clean dish towel, something like this tea towel, soak it really good, wring it out so that it's not dripping, but it's got to be really, really wet, as you can see. And then this is going to go around the mixer. Move the camera out of the way because cameras make everything better. No, they don't. Okay, there. That will keep the dough ball from drying out because any air that gets in there has to go through the towel, and the towel's wet. So, moist air. 2 seconds. All right, it's been the 20 minutes, and voila, we have rested our pre-dough. As you can see here, it looks beautiful. It has sunken and fallen in quite a bit because it's doing all of its funky goodness. Now we're going to add our salt and the oil. It's pretty easy. We're just going to leave this off here for 1 second. It's already set to 1, so it's perfect. We're going to put a teaspoon of salt in. Salt really is one of the major flavor components for pizza dough. You cannot have pizza without salt. Sorry. And then we're going to measure our olive oil. As you can see, perfect. The amount of olive oil really doesn't matter. It just kind of gives it a little bit more texture in there, a little bit more flavor. Now we're going to turn this on, and it is going to do what it does, and then we're going to knead it with this. We're going to crank the speed up to medium high. This mixer here is different than the KitchenAid mixer where it has its own thing. The Cuisinart mixer has a bunch of numbers on the dial that don't necessarily correlate to anything I could tell you, but this is going to about 8. It goes up to like 13. Why? I don't know. But it does. So it's a medium-ish. It's just enough that it gets it whipping around. Basically, you just want the dough to come off the hook and then get slammed back into it, and it rotates and it slams and it moves and it does all that. That's what the kneading process is. If I was here and doing that, I'd be squishing and folding and squishing and folding. That's what you want your mixer to do. The mixer just does it 10 times faster, and I can do other things. So that's why we do that. But this is starting to come together-ish. So I'm going to crank the speed up. Now this is going to take a minute for it to really form a nice dough ball. Because the oil and the salt are kind of on the outside, we have to kind of mix this around. Then it'll start moving. You can see it already doing that. It's tearing the dough ball apart. That's part of the autolyse process that gives it this wonderful shagginess to it. This is now going to start building all of our protein structures, which makes the pizza. That's a lot of words for watch of that. But there's a lot to understand. So anyways, let's just let this do this for a minute. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so it took about 4 or so minutes. We have this beautiful ball of dough here on a nice clean granite countertop. If you're doing this on wood, something else, good for you. I have this countertop, so that's the one I'm using. This dough is got a little, it's slightly tacky, slightly sticky, but it is a good solid dough. This is going to form anything beautiful. As you can see, I do not have any flour or anything on here. We are very precise in measuring to the gram about all of our measurements and everything, so why would we go adding things to it now? If you've made your dough properly and if you've kneaded it right, so you know sticky. And if your dough is sticking, you did it wrong. This has this beautiful dough, but it doesn't have quite enough structure yet. So what we're going to do is to have the old slap and turn, slap and rotate and slap. I don't know what that's supposed to do. I really don't. So this is my favorite way to build structure in this thing. At this point, don't worry about beating it up. It won't hurt anything. After you start rising this and the dough starts to, then you have to worry. But if your dough is too sticky right now, one thing you can do is just wait. Put a damp towel over the top of it, let it sit here for 15 minutes, and you'll be surprised what happens. The dough will get nice and soft. But if you made your dough right, that's what it looks like. So what I like to do is the old tug and fold. Pull your dough out about twice as far out from here than it was. Fold it over, rotate 90 degrees. By this point, the first one, you're like, oh, it has no resistance. That third one's hard to pull. And this, you're not going to get all the way out there. You have built a lot of structure in that dough. That is really critical to a great dough right there. Now, what we need to do is we need to form this back into a beautiful ball. If at this point, this right here will make a 14-inch pizza, 15-inch pizza. If you wanted smaller pizzas, say you want 10, 11-inch pizzas, like personal things for people, the smaller pizzas, you divide this in half and work 2 different balls and then rise them separately. This is, you've already made your pizza at this point. If you're going with 1 ball, 1 pizza. This is where you divide that up for your multiple pizzas. But I'm making 1 pizza. So here we go. The hands are in the bottom and we are just basically tucking this under and stretching the skin on the top. This is incredibly important for the development of your dough ball. This is kind of one of those magic things. Underneath, if you do it right, look at that. There's no hole. There you go. Perfect. That is ready to go. She's nice. She's taut. She's not sticky. I use no flour or anything else. One other thing you can do, and it's really weird, but if your hands are slightly damp with a little bit of water, that works great. A tiny amount of oil on your hands works great instead of adding flour to it. Adding flour is going to change it, so be very careful. Next thing, we have to proof this. Two methods of proofing. There's on the counter, room temperature, and then there's in the refrigerator. That depends on how much time you have. If you are making pizza for tonight, you're going to be doing this on the counter. If you're going to be making pizza tomorrow, you're going to be doing it in the fridge. It's not rocket surgery, I guess. Okay, we got some oil going in our bowl here because the pizza dough is going to climb up the side here and you don't want it to stick to it. You want to give it something to slide off of. So there's that. Now, I just take the towel and I kind of blot this on the outside so that you don't get a skin. If you get a skin on this, it won't rise correctly and you won't have pizza. There's so many ways this goes wrong, but if you just follow these steps every time and do it exactly right, you got no problems. So easy. Grease your bowl lightly. Just dab this so that it has a little bit of shine to it like that. Don't worry about the bottom because it's going against this. Kind of give this a swirl. Make sure she's happy. She picks up a little bit of oil. That's it right there. Set it in the center of your bowl. Now you want a wide bowl, not something really tall because this will climb. You want this to get a certain size to it. This helps right here, this shape, this bowl, helps you shape the pizza later. If you do this in a weird thing or in a square or something, that's going to be hard to come back from. So you want a wide bowl, nicely greased, not over greased, and then you have to cover it. And we're going to use some cling wrap right here. Just going to put a nice layer of cling wrap over the top of this because I don't want air getting in. Air and dryness and all of that is the enemy. You want all of this moisture that's in this. It'll sweat a little bit. A little moisture will sweat out, which is good. But you don't want that skin. If you get that skin on there, it acts like basically a constraint and it just holds it down. It won't let the dough do what it needs to do and it won't rise right and you won't get the right structure. So this is where you can screw up a pizza very easily. That has to be done just like this or you're asking for trouble. There you go. Secret number 43. Something like that so far. And that's it. Let this sit on the counter 5 hours or in the fridge overnight. If you do it overnight in the fridge, you have to pull it out 2 hours before you're going to start working it to let it come up to room temp and kind of relax. The cold will really tighten it up and you won't be able to work it and you won't get good pizza out of it. So 2 hours on the counter after it comes out of the fridge. And there you go. If you want to do this 3-4 days in advance, a week in advance, you can freeze this. What you'll do is you'll take the cling wrap and you will wrap the dough ball real tight so it doesn't get ice crystals on it. Then you'll stick that in the freezer. Then go in there for a week. Just put it in the fridge the day before. Let it sit 24 hours and then 2 hours on the counter. Pretty simple. But when you put it in the fridge, after you take it out of the freezer, you have to take it out of the cling wrap and you have to put it in a bowl like this. Okay, yeah, that seemed like important information. I'm glad I didn't forget that because if you leave it in the cling wrap, man, ain't gonna work too good. So yeah, when it goes into the refrigerator, do this step right here and then you're set. If you want to do 5 or 6 of these things and just keep them in your freezer and have them ready to go anytime you want a pizza, I like you. Good job. All right, there you go. That's where this thing's gonna be. And we'll be back here when I start working it. Well, folks, it's time to form a pizza. And as you can see, it's risen just a little bit. It's a nice warm day, so sitting this on the counter is great. If it's not, you can always put this in an oven with the light on. That works pretty well. Just make sure your oven doesn't get too hot, because sometimes an oven will get over 100 degrees, and that will start cooking your pizza. And that's a no bueno. So don't do that. But yeah, if you have it just a little bit. This is just a bubble on top, basically. And since we did everything nice, look at how pliable and soft this is. You want to basically just punch this down a little bit. Here we go. You see the inside, this is the outer skin, and there you go. And try not to tear it too much, but she's starting to come apart a little, and she's coming out nice, okay? She's gonna play nice. We have a big plate of flour here because this is where things get funky. Forming the dough is incredibly important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this before it gets any more misshapen, because she's already a bit misshapen. She may have gone a little over crazy. I'm going to try to get that out beautifully. Okay, and then it goes into our flour. We don't need this anymore. So it goes over there. Now, I said earlier we don't want to add any flour or anything else to this because the ratios and everything are so hypercritical. That was while it was rising and building structures and doing all of that. Now, flour the heck out of it. I know, it's hard to figure out. Stick to a rule or something like that, but no, that's not how it works. Pizza is its own weird thing. This is alive. This is a living creature. It really is. The yeast is crazy, and it wants what it wants. So we are going to take a bunch of flour, and we're going to put that down. This can go over real quick and get out of our way. So we're going to take this thing. She is floured out. Now, these are the tools you need to form a pizza. Do you want to have a crust around this thing? You form that now. That's when this happens. You put 2 fingers, your 2 hands, your 4 fingers, and just kind of nudge it. And if you've got this thing just right, you just nudge it and you stay an inch in, and you nudge, and you nudge, and you squish, and you just kind of do this. I'm doing this in slow motion so that you can see this. Don't touch the center. You touch the center, you get this little teeny bitty itty center bit of this, and we don't want to do that. This will stretch itself out. Don't worry about the center. Just worry about the outside, the ring out here. This pizza is nice and happy. If you get some unround bits, you can kind of give it a little bit of extra attention. And here you go. And this is coming out nicely. We are just pulling and turning and pulling and turning. Now I'm going to flip this over because we have a ton of flour on the bottom and not so much on the top. We're just turning. We're doing this. And there is a top and a bottom to this. This is now the bottom, the other's the top. You kind of have to keep track in your head because when it sits in the bowl and rises, it does get a bit of a skin on it. And that skin you really want to be on top when you put the sauce down. It helps protect the pizza from the sauce. Makes sense, doesn't it? Come on. All right, so keep going. What do you do if your pizza dough doesn't respond well right now? Let it sit, let it rest. Throw a towel over this, come back 10 minutes. That's what you do. That's how you deal with it. Okay, we have this thing pretty well done. I'm just gonna give this a little bit of gravity. I have just the backs of my hands here going, and that is beautiful. As you can see, that is pizza. That's pizza dough. We got a nice ring around it here. You can see that. It's beautiful. It's amazing. That's about a 12-inch pie or something like that. We're going to give this just a little bit more. But we need to start knocking the flour off because you don't want that much flour. You're going to taste that. So we're going to move on to getting this on the peel. And as soon as it goes on the peel, we are on the clock because it will start trying to glue itself to the peel. Then you can't launch it onto the stone and you end up calling Domino's. We don't want to call Domino's because this is beautiful. This is amazing. You saw how easy this was. This is going to be better than anything you can order. Trust me. So we're going to just make sure we don't screw this up. Okay, I'm trying to get this whole thing in the shot. You can probably see this from here, but I got this camera going. Hopefully it's getting a good shot of this right here. We have our pizza peel. Can you do this without a pizza peel? Yeah, can you get to New York without taking an airplane? Well, it depends on where you're starting from, but airplanes are faster, so use a peel. They're not expensive. If you don't have a place to keep a peel, ideally you want 2. You want wood and you want metal. Wood going in, metal coming out. But if you don't have room for that, just go with the metal. They do stick a little bit more, but that's why we use this. This is Italian ball bearings right here. This is semolina flour that is a coarse ground pizza flour. This isn't for making pasta. Basically, this is like cornmeal, but it's the wheat product, semolina. It's from the, I don't know, Somali, I have no idea. Anyways, I should probably look that up someday. We're going to try and knock as much of the flour off of this as possible without punching through our dough. And that is it. There you go. We have launched this onto here. That is it. That's our thing. There it is. She's a beaut. You can adjust here, make it perfect. Look at that. I think you can see it from there. Hopefully. I adjust on the fly. I can't actually see what that sees. That is a round pizza. It's beautiful. She's moving like crazy. So let's go fast. All right. What do we need? We need sauce. Hang on. All right. So the first thing we need, sauce. We have our sauce here. I've made this sauce 1,000 times. You've seen this. Good ladle of sauce. Move it around quickly. And you don't want it all in one area, so kind of move it around. This is a no-cook sauce. If you want to make a cook sauce, great. There's 1,000 different ways to make pizza sauce. We don't want to get this up onto our crust on the edge. We want to keep it nice, neat, and tidy. There are plenty of pizzas where you do that, but this isn't one of those. If you like sauce, put sauce on it. If you don't like sauce, put very little sauce on it. But you want it even as best you can get. But time is of the essence, so perfection is your enemy. All right, sauce is done. What do we have for the rest of our ingredients? I have a little shredded parm. I like to put a little bit of shredded parm down here on the sauce, just a little bit. It gives it a little extra flavor down here. It's nice, it's lovely. This is the cheap stuff in the tub. If you have a big block and you want to grate it yourself on top of it, good for you. That is fantastic. That is my cheap shortcut. Well, what are you going to do? All right, mozzarella. Whole milk mozzarella, if you can find it, go to your deli counter and have them knock you off a pound of this. Half a pound, something like that will do, somewhere in that range. But get a pound. And then just grate it up yourself. Do not have them slice it into pieces or anything else, because don't do that. All right, so this is realistically half a pound. 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 7 ounces, something like that. Judging by what I got here, maybe 6 ounces of that. All right, next thing going on here. This is mostly about the dough. I'm just going to show you real quick some other things. Sausage. Now this is raw sausage, because you can do that because you're cooking this at 550. The greases of this are going to go into the pizza, which is delicious. I like putting the sausage down before the pepperoni, because then the cheese locks in the sausage and you don't get that sausage rolling around the floor and your dog's going to like Thunderdome Fight Club trying to get to it. Almost lost a toe that way. I guess my toes look like sausages. Hopefully they don't smell like sausages. But only my dogs would know. All right, we're just gonna put this on here and do this as quick as we can, because again, we're working against the clock. This thing is trying to weld itself to the peel. You gotta move quickly, otherwise you no good pizza. That's a lot of sausage. Perfect. All right, next ingredient is gonna be some pepperoni. We're just gonna put this in here, and I try and tuck them around the sausage a little bit, just because you want everything to touch the cheese, more or less. Otherwise, the pepperonis are going to fall off on you. If they're just hovering there, they will burn like crazy. There are different kinds of pepperoni. There is pizza pepperoni, which is designed for higher heats at 550. You don't really need that special pepperoni. But if you just set this here and it didn't touch anything, that's going to burn like crazy. So don't do that. So it has to go down a little bit. All right, now I do like a little bit of a lock layer of cheese at this point, just a smidge. This helps lock in the ingredients and keeps everything from falling off on you. That helps. Now onions, I like onions. Onions to me are the smell of a pizzeria. Even now, it's like, this smells like when you hit the door of an old school pizzeria and you're like, oh, that's pizza. It's the onions. Usually the new guy gets the job of doing this, and you hear him crying about it. I don't like to cut the onions. Yeah, screw them. That's what the new guys are for, right? It's the worst job in the whole pizzeria. Those guys cry a lot. All right, that's it. That's our pizza. If you want to put a little bit more parm on top of this, that's great. I have, raw food fingers, so if I want to wash my hands, then this thing might stick some more. We're just going to check it again. She's still moving. That guy's going to be a pain in my butt. I'm going to launch this thing onto the stone while it's sitting here and it still moves. And 8-9 minutes from now, we got a pizza. So let's do that. Do not drop the pizza at this point. Oh, that would be sad and terrible. Okay, there is our amazing pizza, and this is dropping stuff everywhere. Pizza screen. It's a simple thing. This keeps the dough crispy because right now there's a lot of steam and other things coming out of this. You want one of these on here because that will keep your pizza wonderful. Again, there's a lot of equipment you need to make a really good pizza, and there's no shortcuts around it. So get one of those screens, let this sit at least 2-3 minutes. Look at how amazing this is. It's beautiful. She's incredible. She's, oh yeah, that's ready to eat. About 2-3 minutes, I will cut into this and be back. All right, patience is a virtue, and patience has paid off because we're ready to cut into this thing now. So, screen comes off. I have an extra pan under here that helps ventilate it and keep it up like that. If you don't have one of those, you can just, I don't know, do something else. But this, that's a pizza pie. Now this, that has that beautiful crust, but it's soft inside. This is the perfect home pizza dough recipe. Seriously, folks, this is the answer right here. We are going to cut into this thing and show you. And the reason it's whitish on the outside is there's a fair amount of flour on the outside of this thing right here. But yeah, that has that beautiful crust. She came out nice. I'm going to cut this thing in some weird angles. I'm not going to do the New Haven cut because OCD won't allow that. Seriously, I mean, they just do that as a goof, right? I don't know. I've never been there. I guess it's going to have to be on my pizza journey. But that seems like that's just a goof. And no, you can't really make a beets in a 550 oven. So, some people try, but I don't think you really get the true experience. And that is such a wildly specific pizza anyways. Good luck getting that. This, on the other hand, is something you make in a 550 oven. And this is what she looks like. Look at this. Oh, look at the structure on this thing. Look at this. I'm going to put it on the knife here so you can see this. Look at the structure in this sucker. This is amazing. This is incredible. This is beautiful. We got a nice dough here. We got a nice pocket here. You can see, let me see if I can get this little camera in here. This is perfect pizza dough. This is so incredible. This is amazing. You have to try this. This may be the secret to the perfect pizza. Maybe it's 105 grams of, I don't know, but it's close enough. This is really, really close. And if you want to experiment and see if 90 or 110 is better on the 00, well, you know, that's part of the journey because I've been doing this 25 years and I'm still finding out little secrets. Because pizza, that's what it is. Pizza's like the golf game, okay? You're never going to have a perfect game ever. There's always that one thing and it keeps you bringing it back to making more pizza. And that's what I do here. And thank you for watching because this thing is so good. I'm going to tear into this sucker right now, and I hope you're making one of these so you can tear into it as well, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Hopefully you learned something here, and hopefully you can make some great pizza, because this is what it's all about, right? Exactly. So thanks for watching. You can like and subscribe and see the next video, because I love doing stuff like this. And if you like watching this video, you'll love my next one, and you'll find out if you subscribe. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.